Hey guys, welcome to Talking Strongman. I am joined by two people today. We've got the one and only Evans Nana, new superstar of Strongman. And I feel like I'm at the WWE here because we also have his manager, Eddie Monks. I feel like it's like Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, but it's great to have you both. And I say Eddie is your manager, but Eddie is also doing an amazing job promoting Strongman. He is the man behind Unbreakable Strongman Promotions, and you've bridged the gap tremendously well from like the grassroots level to those bigger, you're kind of feeding people into the SCL comps, you're feeding people into Giants Live comps, and it's an amazing job that you're doing. But you are managing this new superstar that's beside you there. Evans, you're going to World's Strongest Man this year. How do you feel about that?
So it's actually really unbelievable. I mean, it made me realize everything you thought about is possible. I've been doing the sports for 3 years, and even speaking to you now is something I never expected, Lost, because I saw you compete. I've seen Eddie compete. I've seen all the great people compete. And I must say, this is a big privilege. I mean, it's something I still can't, think about. It doesn't seem real. I mean, of course, we're still training for it, but it is unbelievable. So I just don't know what to do.
You've had a meteoric rise last year. I mean, I first kind of got wind of you on the SCL competitions. That's where you've kind of really, that league itself has kind of done a good job of developing new talent, and you kind of, you smashed a number of the comps that year. But what got you into Strongman? Where did because you're originally from Ghana, aren't you? Living in Belgium at the moment.
Yeah, so I moved to Belgium when I was 15. I was born in Accra, so the capital of Ghana, and I've been in Belgium for almost a decade. So coming to Belgium, obviously, I had no friends because I couldn't speak the language, which was really hard. So the first thought of was going to the gym, just to get better, because that was the only thing that didn't need or require language. So basically, I started training really hard, and yeah, Strongman came in the way. That was during COVID, because all the gyms were locked out, and I had one friend called Eduardo, who was literally lifting stones. So I was like, maybe that could keep me busy. So I remember sending him a message, "Hey bro, can I join you train?" And I said, yeah. So that's when I started training. And I got stronger and stronger because basically I had a good foundation. Like going to the gym, doing power bodybuilding, squatting, deadlifting. And, I remember squatting to 20 at the age of like 16. And also deadlifting 230 kilos at the age of 16.
I wasn't even training at that age. I was doing other things that I shouldn't be doing.
Back in the days, in the local gym, they saw it to be like noise making. So I got kicked out from the gym because I was the only guy banging the weights down, and they were like, what is he doing? Because, Belgians were not really used to deadlift at that time. So, of course, I'd seen videos from yourself, Eddie Hall, like Terry Hollands. So, trying to imitate this in the gym literally led me to like being kicked out eventually. So I had to find a different gym because this whole strength thing is pretty new in Belgium, I must say.
Yeah, there's not that many kind of big Belgian strongmen. I mean, Jimmy Laurence is probably the only, guy I can think of that's been to World's Strongest Man from Belgium before. And I've done a seminar in Belgium myself, but it's not a big strength scene. It's not like the UK or America and places like that where it's growing in popularity. So it's kind of amazing that you kind of move from Ghana to Belgium and you pick up strongman. It's it's a fascinating story. When did you do your first competition? What was your first competition?
I remember there was a competition in the far is it west of Belgium. So having to drive like I remember 3 hours because Belgium is not too big. So 3 hours is like kind of a long drive as compared to the UK and the US. So I remember having to drive 3 hours just for that. That was like the strongest man of West Flanders. So Belgium has 3 parts. You got East Flanders, West Flanders, and you have the Brussels region. So West Flanders is the other part. So it was the strongest man of that region. So I remember signing up. Of course, not being too sure of myself, only training for like a month. And the guy I trained with expressed belief in me. So it's like, yeah, let's get this. So I remember going over there and seeing like these really huge men because I've never been the biggest. I've always been, pretty stout. I'm not too tall. And seeing a black man obviously come to compete for a Belgian competition was pretty strange. So I remember having people look at me in a very weird way, like, where's this guy from, We've never seen this guy before and everything. So I remember having to put my thoughts together, going through insecurity, going through like, my own like negative self-perception and pulling everything through. So lo and behold, I came third actually after that competition. That's when I realized, yeah, maybe I have something more. So I started doing my research. I came across the SCL. I came across Giants Live. I came across World's Strongest Man. That's when everything began. I remember sending lots of emails to the SCL. And Ilka at the time invited me to a trial competition in Finland.
Yeah.
That was one of the most awakening competition ever. Why? Because I came very last. I competed against Jordan Osborne, Nathan Goldtree, who's now going to World's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
He podiumed OSG. It was like an eye-opener alongside Kelvin Hasliger from Holland. I mean, everybody was so big. Everybody was so good. The rate was very different. So it was like, whoa, I have to really go back and get my shit together. Sorry for using bad words. So I remember,
you can say what you want on here.
I really didn't do good in that competition. I came dead last. But one thing I realized is the fans and the crowd really saw the dedication and the effort I put in. And Ilka at that time just came to me. He was watching everything. And he just said, man, I think you have a future in the sports. I didn't understand what he meant. But he was like, I'm still going to give you another chance. And like I said, I believe in you. So he linked me up to Marcel. And Marcel, I think, invited me for my first competition in Romania. That was last 2 years. Because was a guy built now to drop out because he had a few things going on. So I remember I didn't even think because I was not even ready. I was like, yes, I'm going to go do this. So that's when I met Kane Francis for the first time. And it was a very big lineup because you had De Ruyter and, Ivor Smockstellings and everybody in the competition. So to me, it was like a dream come true. But for that comp, I knew it was my last shot and I had to give everything. So from the lessons I learned from my very first pro competition in Imatra, Finland, I put myself together and I came fifth.
Wow.
So that's when I realized I was good at farmers. I realized I was good at yoke, a bit of holds, because it was all round. And that's when I started scoring points.
So was this only your third ever contest?
Yeah, that was my third contest.
Wow. That's incredible. I mean, I'm sure AD can kind of say, you mentioned how Ilka sort of says he saw something in you, even though you came last in that competition. I think that's what a lot of us see in you. It's maybe not what you're doing right now, but we can see it's not just your ability to perform, but you kind of have this unique ability to kind of connect with the audience that's watching, and everyone that meets you loves you. And I don't mean that, I'm not saying that to blow smoke up your ass or anything, but I don't know anyone that doesn't like you. You're kind of around you and you're bubbly, you're positive, and your own story is motivating as well. So I can see why so many people sort of gravitate towards you and feel like you have got, this ability to go somewhere in this.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because it's kind of, someone's attitude is as important as, being strong, and if you're not the kind of person that can kind of apply those talents, that strength in a way that is positive, and that, you've got to be willing to listen to the people around you as well, and that could be, another competitor, it could be a coach, it could be a manager, it could be anyone, and having that. And that's one of the real strengths that Evans, I think, has, is that he's a sponge. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. He's always open to listening and to kind of collaborating with people and listening to people's opinions. And you don't always agree with everything that everyone says. That's life, isn't it? But, that's real talent.
I think this is a real skill to have, is to be able to communicate with everyone and then take what works for you. Because there's going to be people I know you've been asking lots of different athletes different questions, and you're always trying to, figure out ways of getting better. And someone will say something, it won't even, you'll be like, nah, just doesn't make any sense. But someone will say something and you'll think, yeah, I think that'll work for me. And you try it and you start to put together all these different elements from different people, and you create your ability to get better and better, because we're all unique. How I do something is not necessarily how you're going to be the most effective doing it. And it's important to understand that sometimes, because there's a lot of people that think there's only one way to achieve a goal. There's really not. But you're very good at, asking questions, at kind of, picking the brains of these other athletes, of people that have done it before. And you just seem to get better all the time. And the speed that you've progressed at is very, very fast. And, that's why, like someone like myself, I don't care if you're winning or losing at the moment, but I can see that potential to win major competitions down the road, because we learn and we get better every time that you do this. Have we lost him? I'm trying to compliment him. I think he's gone.
I think he's frozen. Yeah. I was just about to say that. I think hopefully
he'll join us.
He's
Right.
either absorbing it very carefully, or he's we've lost him.
Yeah,
So.
he's in deep thought there, but hopefully he comes back. But Adi, you've been working with Evans for a little while now, and
Yeah.
you know you met him before I did. There is just something about him that's quite special, isn't there?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it's I mean, we kind of touched on it previously just a second ago about that kind of attitude and that willingness to learn and be coached and take guidance. And I mean, Evans is a super positive guy, but he's also a very smart guy. And he kind of listens to all that information that kind of is kind of given and shared, and kind of actively seeks it out. And for me, it's really important to work with people that are good people.
Definitely.
And that kind of positivity message that Evans has very strongly is one that I believe in very greatly as well, sort of thing. And you can kind of put positivity out into the world, and I think it comes back to you in you get it back from other people as well, sort of thing. And I think that's part of the reason why you get that great connection with with the crowd, and when you meet people and stuff like that, is because you can see that it's not something that's put on. It's a personality trait, and people respond and warm to people that are open and warm and positive, and they want to be around those sort of people. And when you kind of add that to the strength, it kind of creates this kind of this thing that's very attractive to, for speaking from a promoter's perspective, it's very attractive to have people like that, because you want really, really strong guys that are really, really good at what they do, but also that engage with the crowd. The crowd can identify with them, make a connection. I mean, Gav Bilton's another really great example of that as well. It's someone that really the crowd connect with.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good to see you back. You joined us. You missed out on all the terrible things that we were saying about you, but just back in time to hear a few nice things. Yeah, I mean, as a promoter, you want people that can, attract people to the sport. You want people that can put bums on seats, essentially. And he's gone again. Evans is having a little issue with his mic there, but we'll hopefully sort him out. But yeah, he is someone that will attract fans to come and watch your shows. So it's great to see. Let's talk about yourself for a little bit while Evan's kind of sorts himself out, because you are doing a fantastic job promoting the sport. You kind of have, I like to use the word, you built this kind of you're bridging the gap, I guess, between the really elite shows and the grassroots, and giving a lot of up and coming athletes an opportunity to, have a path that is a direct path to these comps. Is that what you kind of set out to do originally, or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in a way it was kind of, I mean, I always kind of describe it as a bit of a pyramid, and, you kind of got World's Strongest Man, Giants Live, Rogue, and all the kind of, the big competitions at the top of it. And then there's kind of a bit underneath that isn't quite as clear sometimes, and that some of those pathways, and, I'm sort of talking primarily about the UK, is it wasn't 100% clear as to how you got from A to B. And, as a, former athlete and all that sort of stuff, I thought, well, it'd be good to really kind of map that out for both the men and the women, and so people kind of understand, if you kind of go and do this competition, it gets you to that competition, and really kind of put that out there. And obviously, the calendar's got so much more busy in the last few years, obviously, with the OSG Europe and all the other things that, we all know, sort of, if without that clarity, it's quite hard for an athlete to kind of, choose what event, what competition they want to do. And, we are kind of at a point now where there's so much choice, the athletes need to be able to kind of say, yes, I'm going to go to OSG, or yes, I'm going to go to SCL, or whatever route you choose. And, it's only right and proper that's really easily mapped out, and everyone knows how many places you get from each competition. And, you can make, as an athlete, can make those strategic choices to decide, and that was, I've probably spent the last 12 months working on the kind of the women's side of the pathways, and obviously the year before on the men's side as well, and we've got a pretty clear pathway now through, some of the qualification competitions you just talked about, from an SCL perspective, and from, the official strongman sort of side of things, where, we've got those open entry competitions at the bottom end of the bottom of the pyramid, as I describe it, and you can kind of come along and enter. And, I mean, Paddy Haynes is a really good example of that. you know, you kind of, I mean, Paige is an athlete,
you know, you kind of, I mean, Paige is an athlete, but
he, you know, he kind of came, did the qualifier, went and did England's, got on the podium, went to Brits, you know, so he's a really good, like, example of how the system works, you know.
So you just had the England qualifier, or the qualifier for the England qualifier. It is 36 athletes have qualified from that qualifier. They will now go into, and because that was the online qualifier. It's very confusing for people listening out. I probably need a counter for saying qualifier over the next sort of few minutes. But 36 athletes have qualified. They will go into a competition now, proper competition, all meet up, 5 events, I believe.
Yes, yes.
And then will it be the top 5 or 6 will qualify for England's Strongest Man?
So we've got the top 5 guaranteed. But obviously, as you'll know from last year, I think we went down to 7 or 8 off the top of my head, because you know people get injured and stuff like that sort of thing. So, but yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's a great return for the competition, and I mean, kind of going right back to the start, the reason that we did the online qualifier, so to speak, is a filtration system. I mean, primarily you know, the competition that we ran the year before was just a kind of a direct entry one, which filled up in a couple of days. You know, and there were a lot of great athletes that didn't make it. So, you know, we thought, you know, now that we've kind of got the official Strongman, you know, backing, and, you know, we've got that kind of infrastructure there, you know, it's a great way to kind of get the really top guys in that category, and obviously on the female side as well, to the competition. So, you know, the 5 that do go through are legitimately the best 5 athletes in England to kind of go through that process. And, you know, obviously the quality kind of filters up into England's Strongest Man and on to Brits. And, you know, I think, I know that you and I have spoke about it before, but there were some real gems that were uncovered, you know, off the back of that route. And, you know, you kind of have to ask the question, if it wasn't there, how long, or would they have necessarily ever risen to that?
It's been hard to break through, you know, to get to the top level for a lot of these guys, and having that direct route is important, because we need new blood coming into the sport. And like you said, Paddy Haynes, he's a great example of progressing through that last year. I'm sure we'll see new athletes this year that can progress through that route, and it's what we need. We need that new blood coming through. Right, Evans is back with us, so that is good news. Evans, while you're back, because we might lose you, your signal's not the best, you said. What are your goals? Like, you're in Strongman now, you're doing amazing, you've had a great first year, you're on the scene. What goals do you have?
So basically, one of the biggest goals is to go to World Strongest Man without any injuries, because I listened to the big men, actually the guys who've been there before, and one of the most underrated goals is not being injured yet. So I want to have the full experience, obviously get myself together, win what I could do. I mean, win the events I think I could win, and then try to come back next year and, you know, get better and better. So that's one of my ultimate goals, literally going into World Strongest Man. Second goal is to probably podium this year in the ESL, which has been one of my base routes. Third goal is also to podium in the Giants Live show. That's one of the, you know, the sub goals as well. And one of the main goals is win Africa's Strongest this year.
That's
so
cool.
You're going to compete in title of being African Strongest Man. Yeah, that's very important. Why would someone ask if why am I keen on having a title? So later on, I want to do politics, and obviously sports has been one of the most important things, bringing people together. That also created professions for other people. Talking of likes like Francis Ngannou, even R&B himself, diverted into politics. So I realized that could be, you know, a connecting factor of actually realizing my ultimate dreams, and that's to get into politics, you know, just to like really help the people.
You're going to be like the next Arnold.
Yeah, hopefully so.
Yeah.
But truth is, even going into World Strongest Man, I do have a belief everything is possible, sir. Everything is really possible. If only you believe, the right connections, meeting yourself and Liz, meeting AD, meeting Marcel. Everybody I met along the journey has been of very massive help. Trust me, sir, this is...
One thing, I love what you say, but what I love more is that you put the work in. And a lot of people miss that. A lot of people talk about what they want to do, but this man sends me training videos at midnight when he's, you know, he's in the gym training hard. He's getting it done because, you know, you've got a lot going on. You're working. You've got, you know, a family to look after. I know you're very close with your mum, and you know, you don't make excuses not to train. You'll come over for an expo, you'll be working all day on the thing, and then you're training at midnight with Shane and Kane. It's there's no missing training. You put the work in, you do the cardio, you dedicate it to the diet. It's all very well people saying they want something, but you have to prove it, and you are backing that up. You put the work in. You message me after a set and you're dying, but you've got to get through the next one, and you do, and that's a key thing to put across to people as well, because I think a lot of people love to be told, oh yeah, you can achieve anything if you put the work in. It's even there, like genetics are massively important, but you kind of prove that by outworking someone, you can get results. And that's where so many people go wrong. I see so many people come up to me and I want to be the world's strongest man. I want to do this. And they train like a baby in the gym. They make excuses all the time. I never hear you make an excuse. You don't miss training. You put the work in, you get the reps done. And, that is a testament to being a champion. People talk about Mitch Hooper and say he's genetically gifted and stuff like that. Mitch doesn't miss training. He puts the work in, he puts effort in, and he tries hard. And that's something that is so important to achieving those goals. And if you want to be achieving things in politics and other things, you have to work hard to get there. It's not just going to happen just because you say, I believe in it. And that's something that I'm quite strongly, trying to get into people's heads is you have to work hard. Nothing in life is easy. It's not going to come to us just by saying we want it. You've got to actually step up and put the work in, and that's what you do very, very well.
I mean, that's the missing ingredient, isn't it? Sometimes is that you can have people that have a great talent or have a genetic gift, but just don't have the personality or the dedication to actually bring it. And, using strongman as an example, you can have someone that's genetically gifted. It could be, a decent strongman, and probably be reasonably successful, but they're never going to get into that, elite tier of, people that are getting into the world finals and up onto the podium and winning these big competitions, because you got to have that grit, you got to have that attitude, and you just got to be damn hard working.
There's going to come a point in a competition where you've just got to want it more than the next guy. Whatever you've done in training becomes irrelevant. It's who can grind out that extra step or that extra rep and do something a fraction faster that makes the difference at the end. And, that mental strength to push yourself on the day is extremely hard. And a lot of people don't have that ability, but you've already proven you're hungry. You've proven that you want it. You've proven that you can win competitions. In a short career, you've already won international competitions. So you're in a good place. We've kind of said nice things to you, but there's still work to do, and you know that.
Let's be really honest here. I mean, there are people who really believed in me, and I believe working hard is also proving those people right, because yourself, Les, AD, even Marcel from the UCL, giving me chances. They could have given this chance to someone else. So me understanding where I'm coming from, and the amount of people that literally look up to me is a factor that literally pushes me. Of course, we're nowhere yet. So we have a bigger goal, and we keep working towards it. You being a legend as well, you keep putting in the work. I mean, I saw you get ready for the OSG until you had an injury. Say you had no excuse. You put in the work. You showed up. You were pulling big numbers. As an athlete or upcoming athlete, I look up to these things and I drive motivation from it. And also, you being my coach, has been one of the most motivating factors, because you didn't have a leadership, kind of like a father looking up to you and someone you look up to. And that's the relationship I've always been looking for. Eventually found it, and it's like trying to keep your father happy. So it's always reaching out for greatness, and never enough. Because it's these smaller things really drive you. Because of course there are people who wouldn't like you, but then again, personally, I believe proving the people who really believed in you and who invested in you right is one of the most important things in life.
Yeah, the thing that I think that Evans, you probably miss a little bit is, you kind of mentioned looking up to other people and aspiring to keep make them happy or whatever sort of thing. But the thing you've got to remember as well is that you are now in that position too. There are people that look at you and aspiring to do what you've done, and kind of talk about being an inspirational figure and kind of inspiring people to get into strongman, whether wherever they're from. Sort of seeing someone, it's a relatively quick journey that you've made from kind of, starting strongman to getting where you are now, and it's easy to look forward, but sometimes you have to look at the people that are looking at you And, kind of, when I think in your behaviors and the way you are, I think you're a really good ambassador for the sport, and I think that, you're kind of playing a really important part for people that are going to come behind you, about how to conduct yourself and how to be a dedicated athlete, but you could be a good human being as well and kind of treat people, with the right way.
I mean, I had a talk with Laurence Shahlaei, and it was really personal. And then one thing he mentioned that never left my mind is, he says the moment you think or you start thinking you're better, that's when you start doing something wrong. There could be always something you could get better at. And I spoke to him during the Arnold, and he mentioned this, and that got into my head. I believe I've seen people come and go, sir. People have made appearances one time in Strongman. But question is, how did Laws make lots of appearances in Strongman? As an athlete, as an athlete, I believe you should sit back, like any upcoming athletes, just look at the common threats happening in all of the legends' life. Laws kept going for it, through injuries, through adversities, surrounding himself with positivity, literally got him there. So who am I to, be very proud, be very rude with no titles and stuff? Even after
you should be proud of what you've achieved already, but that shouldn't ever distract you from wanting more.
Yeah.
But the most important thing, and I think the athletes that do have longevity in this sport, one thing that they all kind of share is that they love the sport. We all have negative times. We all have setbacks. We all have competitions that don't go to plan. We all make mistakes. What makes a champion is someone that can come back from those mistakes and learn from them and be better because of them. There's a lot of people that give up because one thing goes wrong. They get an injury, competition doesn't go their way. I love Strongman. I know someone like Brian Shaw loves Strongman. Mark Felix loves Strongman. Zydrunas still loves competing now. I don't know how, but he's been doing it for like nearly 40 years or something ridiculous. But he loves Strongman. And that's what, when you do get those negative effects, because you love it, you can come back. If you don't genuinely love it at its core and you're doing it just for money or just for fame, the likelihood is if something goes wrong, you'll go, that's not for me.
Yeah.
So I think having fun and enjoying the ride and enjoying the journey is just as important as those victories. And you'll win some competitions and you'll lose some competitions. And we look at Tom Stoltman. Tom Stoltman at Britain's Strongest Man a few years came last, dead last. And people could easily, think. I see people all the time that don't want to compete because they're scared of coming last. But Tom learnt from that competition. He came back and was just way better. And now you look at him at Britain's Strongest Man, he dominates. The last 4 years, he's been top 2 at World's Strongest Man for the last 4 years. He's won 2 of them. He's an incredible athlete. And you learn from those mistakes and come back and get better. And as long as you enjoy it and you keep trying, who knows how good you can be? It's easy for people to say, oh yeah, that guy's never going to make it. But if you keep getting better and you keep learning and make more mistakes, but learn from those mistakes, who knows what you can achieve? And
believe in yourself, haven't you? If you don't believe that you can do it yourself, then you kind of mentioned a little bit about mental stability earlier on, and you've got to have that physical strength, but you've also got to have that mental toughness, and you've got to believe that one day I will be stood on top of that podium with that massive gold trophy. If you don't believe that, you ain't never going to get there. It's never going to happen. So, and I think that, kind of visualization or, there's lots of different terms that people use for it. But if you can't picture that and you're not willing to put the work in, then it's never going to happen.
Eddie, you talking about belief made me realize one thing, yeah? So 2 years ago, I remember after doing my research, coming across Laws, Eddie O and everything, I told my then coach I was going to go into World's Strongest Man. He was so scared, so terrified. He just said it's not possible. Because Belgium happens to be like a football country, cycling country, and you being spotted as really, really hard. The chances is like a 0.0005. And the interesting thing is I actually wrote it down somewhere. And one thing led to the other. Me meeting Laws for the first time during the SCL competition he organized was like a dream come true, mind blowing. And I remember having my first message from Laws, yeah? Because on Instagram, Laws is a really big fan of the sports. He looks at whoever is doing good and, sends his feedbacks. And that's what makes him very special. He loves the sports. I remember I've been following
Oh, I feel like we were getting somewhere.
He was being so nice.
He was being nice. That's where it cut off. That's fine. I was going to ask him what. But he's back.
Okay.
He's back.
So following lost for a long time, and I'm actually following
We
lost
lost
for a
you
long
for a
time.
second,
I
Evans.
haven't, like, a follow from him was one of the best days in my life. Really, I remember going up and down, sending pictures to everybody, like, yo, I was actually followed, and that's when I realized I was like one step, into getting, into what I wanted to be and become. Was really mind blowing, like unbelievable. So believe is everything. You need to believe it yourself and feel it.
One funny thing with Evans, I mean, like I said, everyone likes him, but I think one of the reasons everyone likes you is because you always bring us chocolate at competitions. He's always bringing us like this lovely chocolate from Belgium, and I'm trying to lose weight, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to bring you some chocolate." It's like, no, don't bring me any more.
We had a huge bag of it at the Arnold's. We sort of like chocolatiers walking around, kind of distributing chocolates to a variety of different people.
Unfortunately, Evans is having issues with his internet today. I was going to ask him what competitions he's got coming up. Obviously, he's got the SCL coming up in a couple of weeks and World's Strongest Man. They're the first two shows. What shows is he looking at this year?
So there'll be obviously we're looking for we're hoping for a couple of Giants invites this year. Depending on what the availability is in some of those shows. Obviously, we'll do a couple of the SCL shows, but obviously, always hoping for an invite to some of the bigger shows as well. So it's really kind of. I think Evans would agree. He competed an awful lot last year. Did a hell of a lot of competition, so we're sort of trying to be a bit more strategic about what Wednesday do here. Evans will obviously be at SCL England. Bit of a plug there for us, but
we'll talk about that show. We'll talk about it in a second. But I think much more planned out year this year than last. How many comps did you do last year, Evans?
It was really crazy. Yeah? I mean, I remember doing almost 40 competitions. No joke. Yeah,
40 competitions in a year.
40, no joke. I did the only SCL competitions I didn't do was 3 or 2. That was the Strongest Viking, and a few of them I started the STL season. I remember doing other side comps, so I remember quitting my job, obviously, just to do this. It got to a point. My mom was really, really pissed at me, sir, because bills were not being paid, because I have big responsibilities and stuff. But I had this goal, like, hey, Evans, it's all or nothing. All or nothing. I was like, ban all your ships, go all in. I was in Czech Republic like 5 times back to back in a week, and my then coach Josh also believing in me and pushing me. It was pretty nice. He didn't judge, but I felt really bad because I just had a competition the next day, and I'm like been to Poland almost 8 to 10 times, been to Finland like almost 6, 8 times, and it was when I actually had to go smart because during Glasgow I tore my bicep, unfortunately. But that's when everything started ramping up. And then,
I mean, a lot of people will kind of sit back and go, like 40 competitions is crazy, absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And, unless you're in the big competitions, there's not a huge amount of money in Strongman. There's not, and if you're going to compete 40 times to just scrape a living, it's not where we want to be. And, I sat down with you because I've made the same mistake. I did years of trying to do 20 shows in a year, trying to do Strongman professionally. And if you get hurt, you're fucked. So, we had a chat, and we want to focus on the big competitions and focus on building your brand. And that's where, AD comes in, and, probably my experience comes in as well. Like, I would kick your ass if you competed 40 times this year.
Yeah. But fun fact is, I remember doing the SCL going to the final because Gav also couldn't make it. So it was in Turkey. That's when I met AD. I came dead last as well, really, because it was a world final and I was not prepared. I remember having a call from Marcel, hey, Evans, you want to just jump in? I just jumped in. Yeah. I knew I couldn't do better because the lineup was really, really crazy, really intense. It had almost 6 World's Strongest Men athletes in there. So I came last, obviously, but then again, the fans, I just saw them happy and, giving what I had. And the fighting spirits as well, they saw it, they really loved it. So right after getting back from the SCL final, it gave me kind of nostalgia from when I started in Finland. And I was like, Evans, you have to get better. Evans, let's do this. So right from January, I started competing in the winter, doing smaller competitions, track pulling, even when it was even just, let's say, weight for height. So these smaller competitions everywhere in Belgium. And then literally sending just messages. I remember sending a message to World's Strongest Man, and they could actually confirm this, yeah? Because I was so desperate. I spoke to Eddie then. Eddie was like, Evans, win competitions and let's start talking.
Yeah.
That's the only word he said. So I was like, Evans, let's get this. I messaged World's Strongest Man. I was like, hey, I'm this age, blah, blah. I'd like to represent, blah, blah, blah. They were like, yeah, you'd have to go through this route, you know, blah, blah. And the only message I remember sending them was, see you later, see you on top later. And fun fact is, I had a message from them 2 weeks ago, and the guy was like, Evans, you said this, and look at that. So it was really, really, it gave me goosebumps, eh? It made me realize myself 1 year ago. I mean, obviously putting my body on the line and obviously having a bit of return literally made me feel like a certain type of way. So like you spoke about hard work,
yeah,
you know, putting in the work and you believing wholeheartedly and everything, connecting is one of the best feelings in the world. So coming across the right people, you know, because I like competing across the world made me realize there are people who are way better, people who are way stronger, people who would do everything, people who would kill just to be in a Giants Live show, just to be in a World's Strongest Man show. And I saw this in Poland. I saw this in Serbia. They are really, really good athletes. They live strongman. They have families. They put their bodies on the line. They would pay any amount, even whatsoever, together. So seeing this, meeting these people, made me realize the sports really got to a certain level, sir. And it's time to like really get better. I mean, appreciate everything or every chance I have. And yeah, being grateful. That's where the center of everything came from. Meeting, talking to these people, having the experiences, because most of them, like Kodiaka, did almost 100 competitions in his career just to be seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was really mind-blowing. Like,
you've definitely reached a level very, very quickly. And, you know, you're gaining a fan base now. And obviously, he's going to be competing in your competition later in the year, AD. So let's talk about the SCL England. You've been running it for the last couple of years. Really well-run competition. I've enjoyed coming down, watching it. I think, was it Shane? Did Shane win last year?
Yes. Yeah.
So that was a great result from Shane. You know, you've competed with Shane and Kane quite a few times. They're two, like yourself, super awesome athletes that are really kind of on the rise right now on the international scene. Are you gonna get some revenge this year?
Actually, what makes AD's competition very special is it introduced me to the Viking walk, which was very strange. Like, I'd never thought about, you know, having such an event in the Strongman comp. So preparing for that, I was really nervous because it was very new, and it was really interesting because no one could know what they could do. Having the deadlift ladder with the stones, which I actually won, was like, whoa, it was really strange. I mean, these things makes it interesting. So anybody watching, trust me, AD's full of creativity, and you shouldn't miss this year's SCL. Yeah. It's going to be amazing.
AD's put on a number. I mean, I did your Masters comp, the British Masters you ran last year, and I got to use that log. And, you know, stupidly, I was like, I'll be good at this. It was way harder than I thought it was going to be. I did manage to squeeze the win out, but way harder than I was expecting it to be. It was a fun event to do, though. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, I got to say, it was for me, it was great because the first time I could compete in front of a home crowd or fairly local crowd. It was in Gloucester. I'm from Gloucestershire, so it was really cool. But it was a well-run competition. You know, both me and Liz really enjoyed coming down, and the SCL show that you did as well, exactly the same venue. And stupidly, a few weeks ago, I announced that it's in Gloucester again, but it's not Gloucester this year, is it?
No, we're up in Wolverhampton because we've gone indoors this year. So we're doing it slightly later. We're going to do it on the 28th.
I'm almost disappointed that it's indoors. I kind of love that sort of rustic, old-fashioned outdoor competition. I kind of really enjoyed it because obviously, you know, the Giants Live shows they're awesome indoors and stuff like that. But I almost miss that, you know, that old school outdoors. Great when it's sunny, not so good if the weather turns, though. And I've been in a few shows where the weather goes absolutely diabolical. And obviously in the UK, we can't guarantee some good weather. So I understand why you're going inside, but it does change that element a bit. But you're in Wolverhampton this year, yeah?
Yes, yeah. So we're in the hangar in Wolverhampton, sort of thing, which is a really great event space. So we're kind of all set to go there. I mean, it's the lineup for this year is pretty amazing, to be honest. I think it's certainly the strongest lineup I've ever seen.
Give us a few of the names that are competing this year.
So you've obviously got Shane, Kane Francis, Evans, Ivor Smockstalis. We think Paddy Haynes is competing. Calvin de Royce is competing. I think there's of the 14. Because obviously we've got the people coming through from the qualifiers and stuff like that as well. I think there's 9 or 10 people that have featured at World's Strongest Man. So it's the caliber of the lineup is really, really strong. And it's always great to kind of get the great athletes together, because it always kind of leads to a really strong battle. And and SCL England has kind of become a real title to have. And I know that Shane, having spoken to him, is going to want to hang on to it. Because obviously he's got that kind of rivalry with Kane as well. Anyway, so they were pretty close last year. To be fair,
yeah.
So it's those kind of like rivalries within a competition are always exciting, and it kind of makes it a bit really interesting for the fans to watch as well. And with the new venue, it's quite intimate. The kind of the fans are going to be sat right on top of the action, because it's an all-seater stadium. We're kind of doing both standard and VIP packages and all that sort of stuff as well. So it's kind of quite an immersive experience sort of thing. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously we've got the tickets on sale at the moment, and we're kind of looking at ways to kind of enhance and build on that year on year, because it's been really well kind of supported, previously, and kind of going back to the kind of Gloucester thing, I certainly wouldn't rule out going back there. It's it's a great venue, and it's somewhere that we'll definitely look at for the future. But I'm really excited for the new place.
Yeah, Wolverhampton is a great central location as well. We will put a link in the description below to tickets for your contest. So if anyone wants to come there, make sure you guys check that out. What's the date again? It's the same time as the Giants Live, isn't it?
It's the same day as Vegas, but it's on the 28th of September.
Cool. 28th of September. There will be a link in the description below. Also to the rest of your competitions. Talk to me about the other events you've got coming up this year.
So we've got quite a few, to be honest. So we've got the England's Strongest weekend on the 18th and 19th of May. That's up at Fit Expo in Manchester. For those of you that have kind of been before, it's a great venue. So we're going to have as you kind of mentioned a minute ago, we're going to have the sort of top 36 guys and the top 14 in both the opens and all of the weight categories for the ladies. We kind of got pathways in there for everybody. The men's obviously go on to England's Strongest Man, as you know. The England's Strongest Woman goes a direct invite to Britain's Strongest Woman, the Giants Live show, and the weight categories kind of go through into OSG Europe. So it's going to be an exciting competition. We've got we're going to run a live stream from there. That's not been kind of announced yet, so it's kind of an announcement on this. We're going to be streaming it live on OSG's platform.
Awesome.
So on we've got a great commentary team kind of coming in. I think you're going to be there on the Sunday as well, hopefully. So there's the whole kind of package going together sort of thing. So it's going to be a really great day. And we've got there's a disabled strongman next to us as well. So for strongman fans, it's definitely worth a visit. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's a hell of a weekend of strength, I guess, is the best way to put it, sort of thing. That's the quickest or the closest one to us. Next one's the 15th of June, again back at Gloucester, that we kind of mentioned previously. That's the England's Masters, which is the beginning of the pathway to get to Brits Masters, which is kind of later in the year. There's a number of SCL qualifiers in the summer. One of them up at Burns Gym, run by Stu Murray, which is, if you like, the northern qualifier. And there's a southern one that's been run down at Area 51 with Gav and the crew down there, sort of thing. So we sort of tried to spread it out a little bit, because the last couple of years it's been in England, so we sort of tried to make it a little bit geographically easier for people, sort of trying to think about people's pockets and spending money traveling to competitions and stuff like that. And those will obviously feed through to the competition we're just talking about, the SCL England on the 20th of September. I mean, at the moment, we're kind of the only kind of SCL competition that actually runs a qualification, and that was kind of partly to do with creating that, that open entry stuff that we were talking about earlier on with, allowing people to, enter and kind of and basically, strongest person gets through.
I want to point out to people watching, because the SCL is almost like a franchise, isn't it? It's run by Marcel and Ilka. They are kind of the owners of SCL, but each individual competition is run by individual promoters. And yes. Unbreakable Promotions are your promotion, which run the English version of the SCL. So the English SCL is ran by you, approved by SCL, so it becomes an SCL competition. But each of their competitions has different promoters. So this is no disrespect to SCL, but the level of each competition is very different. You don't know what you're always going to expect in terms of structure, in terms of organization. It's not like it's not like going to a Giants Live where what things are going to be. But one thing I will say with AD's comps is every single one I've seen has been top notch, good quality, good access for fans. And you've done a number of shows of AD's, Evans, and you've done a number of other shows as well. He puts on a great show.
Yeah, AD is actually the best. Like I said, when it comes to putting up events, it's really fascinating and not too boring. Not boring at all, because there's some organizers that put on really boring events. I mean, during competitions. So AD is actually for the fans. What could make the fans, go really crazy and have the whole experience, have what it paid for. An example was a stone deadlift. That was like the first time doing this. That was really fascinating. That was really, really amazing. You could see the crowd were looking into it, really figuring out how things were going.
Can we get a sneak peek on what events will be this year, or are we not going to go there just yet?
Well, yeah, they've not been revealed yet. I've not even
been released yet.
Yeah,
we can't get an exclusive.
But what I can tell you is that there are different events than what we've seen previously, sort of thing. So it's always good to kind of change things up and kind of give the athletes new challenges and stuff like that, sort of thing. So I think you're gonna like them. I think you're gonna like them. But
let me put this out there to anybody watching this. I mean, what makes this year very interesting is sometimes you don't know the events 2 days prior, then you get to know the events. So as an athlete, you just have to stay ready, train all around, and get better. And that's what actually makes the SCL very interesting. As compared to other comps, events sometimes months in advance. The SL is the other way. Like sometimes 1 week before, 2 days before, then all the events is known.
I must admit, I quite like it. I get a bit annoyed when people overthink events, because I have a philosophy of if you're strong and you're athletic, you can pretty much adapt to anything. And I think a good strongman should be able to adapt. And some people don't like that. Some people like to know every little detail of how wide the handles are going to be, how high the platforms are going to be. They need to know absolutely everything so they can prepare as well as possible, which, it has its place, especially if we want to see the absolute best. But there's something about just kind of being strong and being ready and ready to kind of, do anything. So it's always good to have a mixture of different types of competitions. And someone who's competed 40 times in a year mustn't have you can't prepare for too many of those shows.
Yeah. I mean, interesting enough, you don't get to also use kits. So the deadlift suit is actually forbidden in the SCL because we want to see real strength. So to those out there who really want to see strength of the strengths, we don't have elbow sleeves. It's literally raw. It's raw and pure. That's what makes it interesting. So to those watching, the SCL England is going to be really amazing.
So I got a question for you, Loz. So, I mean, obviously you kind of, been around Strongman for a really long time. So it's kind of a multi-part question. So, what is it that you miss the most from, for the last 10 years? What one thing from Strongman do you miss the most, that you wished it was still like it was?
Oh, so not just from a personal perspective, but just what I miss about the sport.
In the sport,
it's a catch-22 because what I miss is also what's great about the sport now. When I started, it was like you're just with your mates in a field, kind of, having fun. There was less. I think there was less eyes on the sport. So, now as the sport's grown, there is a small minority that have a loud mouth that are so negative online. We didn't really have that back then. It was just like a bunch of guys getting out there trying their best, you know. Whereas now everything's scrutinized and, you know, everything's criticized all the time. It's and I guess I don't like that side of things, but in another way, it means we've got more people that are watching the sport and the sport's growing, and that's a great thing. So I understand I always try and look at things from two sides. I try not to just, you know, obviously there's ways I want things, but I've got to think of what's right for the sport as well. And I always try and weigh up, you know, options. But I do miss just being new to the sport, feeling like a novice, you know, learning, like looking at Evans and just seeing how much he kind of absorbs everything in. You know, I've been doing it for 20 years and you see a lot of things repeated and then, you know, some things aren't quite as special sometimes. And I guess I miss that just pure joy of, you know, trying an event for the first time or seeing an event for the first time. It's there's obviously certain events that I look back, like I used to love watching World's Strongest Man, the Flintstone deadlift. I always thought that was cool. I love seeing a car roll. I think that's a cool event to see. And there's certain events that I don't think we should see again that we've seen in Strongman as well. So, you know, sorry,
tire flip.
Tire flip is a notoriously dangerous one. It's just caused a lot of injuries, but you know, every event could cause injuries. But yeah, I think, I mean, how many guys tore injuries on their tore biceps on tire flip last year in various SCL comps? It was quite a few, not just SCL comps, other comps as well. Let's not just say there's
a really dangerous one. I mean, so the kind of the second half of that kind of question is, you know, the sort of strong man, strong woman, if you like, has come a really long way in the last 10 years, for example. So if you had like a time capsule and you could write on a bit of paper now what you thought strongman will be in another 10 years, what do you think it will become?
I would just, all I want is to see the sport keep growing. I want, you know, the women to have better opportunities, the weight class athletes to have better opportunities. I want the pro strongmen to be earning good money, you know, more TV time for the sport. I want to see that continued growth. How high it can go, who knows? But yeah, you know, I think we'll see numbers and records will continue to be broken. But as a fan, I don't care as much about records. I prefer seeing real good battles between athletes. So just from my purist perspective, I'm not like that fussed by most records that go on, because records, unless they're all done on the exact same kit, you kind of, you know, there's a lot of variables that come into things. But when you've got the best guys in a competition and you see who comes out on top and you see these great battles, I find that really exciting. And, you know, we see that a lot where you're going into the last event, we still don't know who's going to win. And, you know, that for me is like the Arnold's women's comp last week where they were tied and they had a final event decider. I thought that was exciting. Maybe more things like that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the most, you know, I mean, I love strongman, you know, just generally sort of thing. But I think the women's side of the sport is so exciting at the moment. I mean, you know, the announcement today by Rogue that they're going to match the men's and the women's.
Absolutely amazing.
That's fantastic. That's, you know, such a big thing.
Yeah,
you know,
that's huge.
I've seen some of the, you know, the kind of reactions on social media from some of the female athletes, and, you know, it's a real seminal moment, you know, to have that kind of parity. And, you know, that kind of, you know, quality.
What a statement from Rogue to do it as well.
Yeah.
You know, they probably didn't have to, but they do the same with the CrossFit, and they decided they're going to keep it the same on the strongman and strongwoman. That is massive, absolutely huge for the female strength athletes.
What do you think is the max year a strongman should compete, stay active? Because just like football, you know, when they get to 30, they start retiring. When do you think is the, you know, let's say 5-year period a strongman should have peaked and, you know, been out of the sports? And the second question is, how do you do with rivalry? Because, you know, the sport obviously is a sport of like, it's a manhood sport, you know. There could be very bad, like, you know, bad blood, and, you know, once things are rising, things are heating up, like the Eddie Hall thing, and, you know, most strongmen actually not, you know, reconsidering you to be a strongman and all of that. So the rivalry and everything. And then could you ever see yourself actually get into the States, you know, as an athlete and as a man like 20 years ago, 10 years ago?
Oh, first question. What was the first question you said? You
So first question is, what is the number of years you'd advise?
Oh, I think this day and age, it's probably. I think careers are shortening. I think but how hard athletes have to push, it's harder to have real longevity in the sport. But for the most part, you see guys that can last between 6 to 10 years. That seems to be kind of a time frame that you can kind of stay at the top and win competitions and be competitive. There's going to be a decline of some sort after that. You might be able to kind of maintain a certain level for a while, but I think for most people, you're looking at 6 to 10 years is where you're going to kind of have a competitive pro career. We even look at, guys like Martins Lissis probably won't manage 10. He's talked, I think he mentioned actually just today that he's not going to do World's Strongest Man this year. He just seems to be struggling with his body. And, only a few years ago, he was the world's strongest man. He won the Arnolds, won Rogue, and now his body's starting to kind of, just struggle. It's tough because you're having to push to such extremes. I think someone like Thor or Brian Shaw, they have such a big frame. They can cope a little bit better. They can probably last longer. Someone like Mark Felix, who's had a ridiculously long career, but he hasn't really pushed himself quite as hard physically. He started later. He's got amazing genetics, and he's not maybe pushing to win every competition as hard as maybe like an Eddie Hall, who was willing to do whatever it takes to be the best. So I think with that mentality of I'm willing to do whatever, you're going to naturally shorten that career. Whereas you get some guys that just genetically more gifted, they could maybe have a longer career. So I can't say an exact number, but I think 6 to 10 years is a good. Okay. You can stretch it longer. I did 11 World's Strongest Man competitions, but you could see I was starting to decline. And you see it with Terry Hollands, you see it with Mark Felix, Zadrunas. We keep going, but you kind of see, okay, it's coming down a little bit each year. And you're still good, but you're not as good as you were. Even like Brian Shaw, as good as he was in the last few years, he still wasn't as good as he was 5-6 years ago. So 10 years ago. So it is very difficult. You get to that point, and the worst thing about an athlete, and I'll tell you this just so you understand, because you'll get it one day. It's great when you're going up, but you never know when that pinnacle will be, and you just don't. You think you're kind of getting better all the time, and there just becomes a point that it starts to kind of level off and get worse. And that is the worst thing as an athlete, when you kind of look back and think that was the point, and you try and you can kind of stay at a decent level. But it is tough. I wish I could still do the stuff that I could do, 10 years ago. But c'est la vie. We move on. Second question was, what did you say? You said
bad blood and rivalry.
Bad blood and rivalries.
It's not everyone is going to like you. Your colleagues and stuff.
Do you know what? When I was younger, I cared about that. As I got older, I cared less and less. I know I'm a good person. I try and be nice to people. And, you're going to meet people that just don't like you or that are jealous of you. And the good thing with Strongman is not that many. On the whole, it's a very friendly sport. The good thing with Strongman, it's not like a boxing match or a fight where you're physically going against each other. You don't have to hate each other. It's you against the equipment. Yeah. And, you as an athlete should want to win. If you're an athlete out there and you don't want to win, then there's something wrong with you. You're not a competitive person. But for the most part, I think most guys get along pretty well. There's always going to be people that are jealous. There's always going to be people that kind of try to put you down. You've got to try and avoid that and just kind of, be a good person, walk your own line. And I've learned that you just can't worry about everything people think and say. I'm going to, and this includes myself, I'm going to have opinions and thoughts about people that they might not like. And they can prove me wrong. It's just an opinion. You can't get upset about it. There's plenty of people that told me I'd never achieve anything in the sport. And that's fine. You've got to use it as motivation as an athlete to think, I'm going to prove that fucker wrong. And, that's the best thing that you can do. I don't think there's that much hatred in the sport. Certainly, there's sometimes people that don't like each other. Avoid each other. You don't have to all be friends. But I honestly wouldn't waste your time. Just be a good person, do your thing. For the most part, people really like who you are. If someone doesn't like you, that's on them. It's not on you. That's how I see that. And what was your last one? You had one more question in there.
Yeah. Did you always see yourself being like this person, started the sports? Because to be honest, must have imagined starting the sports 10 years. You know, it was supposed to be for rascals, people who didn't have a goal, people who didn't have a vision, you know, putting their bodies on the line and everything.
Oh, I never saw it like as that. I used to love watching World's Strongest Man, and these guys used to inspire me. They were heroes to me. You know, I used to watch Magnus Ver Magnusson, Magnus Samuelsson, Sven Carlson, Marius Pudzianowski, all these kind of great guys. And then I started watching the older videos of Jean-Paul Sigmarsson, Jeff Capes, Kazmaier, even like Don Reinhardt and the original kind of World's Strongest Man competitors, Bruce Wilhelm. I used to just look up to these guys and think, I want to do that. And I was never one of these people that sort of speaks about it. I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be the world's strongest man. But deep down, I was like, I want to be the world's strongest man. And I'm going to work my fucking ass off to be as good as I can and try and just consistently keep getting better. And I certainly believed in myself, and I certainly worked hard to try, and I always tried to get better. That was always my goal. It's like, all right, learn from what you've done. Go away, think about it. How can you be better next time? And I kind of got good at learning from mistakes. And I made a shitload of mistakes, so many mistakes, but I did learn from them. And eventually, I probably say I was at my best in 2012 in terms of physical strength, but I was smarter between 2016 and 2018. That's when I won more major titles. But I actually think I was stronger in 2012, but then I got a couple of injuries, and I learned how to compete better as I got older. I got smarter tactically. I knew where I could push hard, where I could hold back. But yeah, I believed in myself, and you should believe in yourself.
What would you define true strength?
What would I define as true strength?
What is going to fascinate you? Like when you see this, you're like, whoa, the guy is strong. Regardless of titles, of what is true strength to you?
There's so many elements to strength. It's not just physical, like mental. There's stories of what people kind of pull through. I think the ability to be resilient and kind of rise from devastating things and keep going is more impressive to me than just lifting a big deadlift or lifting a big weight. The ability to keep coming back and get knocked down and keep picking yourself up and keep fighting and keep striving to move forward. I find that more inspirational and mentally stronger than just lifting weights. Sure, lifting weights is fun. Lifting huge weights is impressive. But the ability to keep going when everything is kind of against you, that's true strength to me.
Well, that's that mental resilience thing that we were talking about earlier on, isn't it? Is that, kind of desire to survive, desire to win, and it's easy to kind of go, at any cost, but you can have that desire and be smart with it too, and kind of use it in a constructive way, and we've all got different things that fuel the fire. It might be a personal experience, or someone told you that you couldn't, or whatever it might be. We've all got that thing, and that's the trick, though, isn't it? Is kind of being able to tap into that and being able to kind of use that in a positive way. And it's easy to be negative about these things and kind of be filled with anger or hate or whatever it might be, and that will get you so far. But actually, if you can use it in a positive way to strive forward, I think that's a much more a better way of being about things, and I think it's more healthy for your mental health as well.
I totally agree with you, buddy. I'm going to let Evans finish off for us. Evans, I want you to tell your fans, people that are looking up to you, that have seen this journey that you've made, what advice would you give them? And then finally, just let everyone know where they can find you and follow you on social media.
Everything you ever dreamt of is possible. Everything you could ever imagine is possible. From being a president to having a promotion at a job, to having good grades at school, to being a better partner, to being a better person, everything is possible. It starts with surrounding yourself with the right people. And trust me, once you decide on what you want to be, the universe conspires to lead you to the right people and right destination. It first starts with you, what you want. So whatever you want in life, you always have to believe and write it down first. And trust me, coming across you guys was something which happened not by accident. It was through intention and through belief. So everything you ever dreamt of is really, really possible. never underestimate the power of dreams. Never put a measurement or like something. Can you imagine Believe taking man to the moon? That's so unbelievable. So Believe will change the world. Believe is going to change my world. Going into World's Strongest Men was through Believe and through the right people. So everything's really possible. Never underestimate yourself. Always put in the work and surround yourself with good people. Being here, it's like a dream come true, and I'm here for a reason. I'm here to put Ghana on the map. I'm here to put Africa on the map. I'm here to make people, a kid in Africa who has no passion, because I never did any sports. I mean, who has no talent whatsoever, could realize something. You get me? So I'm here to inspire. I'm here to create. I'm here to leave a legacy. I do understand not everyone could be World's Strongest Man one day, but someone could actually leave a mark somewhere for someone to follow. And I want to be that person, if not being a World's Strongest Man one day. So I'm grateful being here. It's a dream come true. Let's see where the journey takes us. But I'm so positive. This is going to end in a beautiful story. You know, be loved one day. That's the thing.
I look forward to watching the journey, buddy. Let people know where they can find you on social media.
So Evans the Hulk is my name on Instagram. That's very strange. I'm not green. Of course, I'm a black man. Why Hulk? People from Belgium give me that name. So Evans the Hulk across all social media networks. And YouTube about to follow soon, maybe in the nearby future. So awesome. Evans the Hulk is the handle on Instagram.
And how about you, AD? Where can people find yourself and Ultimate Unbreakable Promotions?
Yes, so it's again on Instagram's probably the easiest thing. It's Unbreakable_promotions, and there's a link tree on there that will take you to all of the other social accounts, YouTube, and all the ticket sites and everything else sort of thing. So it's just Unbreakable_promotions.
Perfect. We'll make sure there is links down below for you guys if you want to check those out. Both of you, thank you so much for joining me for this. It's been really enjoyable chatting to you both. And Evan sorted his Wi-Fi out in the end. He managed to
I want to put this there, Los. Being on your channel is like a dream come true, man. Trust me. I told Eddie this before coming here, man. Like, this is really happening, man. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for this exposure, because you love the sport. People know you for your passion. And man, I'm so grateful to each and every one of you making this possible. Dreams do come true. This is like a dream. This is off my bucket list. Talking to Laws on this channel. You and Liz, you guys are doing an amazing job promoting the sports, making people fall in love. And being here is like...
How can you not like this man? You know, he just says nice things to you all the time. I bet he's going to hang up in a minute. He's got that Laws, he's a bastard, asking me those damn questions.
No.
You should hear the things he says about you, Laws. It's terrible.
I'll send you your money later, okay, for saying those nice things. And you best bring me some chocolate next time I see you.
Yes, always.
Guys, thank you so much. I hope you guys watching enjoyed this. I've enjoyed it. It's been really good fun. And I'll see you two soon. And I hope everyone likes the video. Go and check these guys out on social media. And don't forget, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Take it easy, guys.